Shamina Nurse Kingsley is a visionary entrepreneur and faith-driven leader committed to helping families and communities to thrive. She is the founder and CEO of Covo and Crash, a pioneer in co-working and childcare ecosystem in Alexandria, Virginia, and the founder of Faith and Valor, a mission-driven initiative equipping parents, entrepreneurs, and leaders to align business, family, and purpose. Known for her innovative model of parenting meets productivity, Shamina has redefined how parents integrate work and caregiving, creating spaces where excellence and family values coexist. With expertise in business strategy, communication, and ministerial leadership, she teaches others how to leverage technology, systems, and faith to build with integrity and sustainability. Her voice is authentic, practical, and rooted in kingdom principles. Whether addressing parents, entrepreneurs, or faith communities, Shamina equips her audiences with tools, courage, and vision to embrace purpose, lead boldly, and create lasting impact. Women of Purpose, welcome with me, Shamina Nurse Kingsley.
Wow. Hello. What an introduction. Have you ever just heard a bio and then you double check, you're like, okay, is that me? Well, I guess it is. Hello, good day, everyone. I am Shamina. I am wife, mom, veteran, founder of Kowo and Crush, and a daughter of God. I also believe that the bigger the hair, the closer to God. So if you didn't know that about me, you know that now. I am honored to be here and speaking to you all from the perspective of technology. And we are here for such a time as this. So, what does that look like for us in this age of technology, right? And technology has always been around, right? It's just, I think the way that we define technology, the way that we look at technology, it's more about the machines, it's more about the artificial intelligence, it's more about the apps. And if you thought that maybe today, perhaps, um, my session was going to be about how to leverage everything that has been man made, I actually know. I am here because the way that I look at technology is it's unique. It's different. I don't look at technology earlier when we were having glitches. What was the thing, right? And sister, you said, "Oh, we're gonna blame technology." I'm like, when when something goes wrong, that's what we say, right? We're gonna blame technology, and I'm the one that's supposed to be speaking about technology, not intimidating at all, right? But the fact of the matter is, technology is. This is my conviction. Technology is a God-given tool, not a God to be served, right? So let me say this again. Technology is a God given tool, it's not a God to be served, right? Technology should multiply our time and our impact, not steal our peace. And if it is stealing your peace, you have to go back. We have to go back and think about what does the word say, right? So Second Timothy 1:7 reminds us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And if cares aren't taken when we look at the technology, when we look at the machine of technology, when we look at the progression of it, then we start to feel intimidated and overwhelmed. And if you're in a space, whether it's your life, parenting, motherhood, singleness, your career, your business, whatsoever it is, that you are feeling overwhelmed by technology, stop. You have the choice and you have the power to understand that there is nothing new under the sun. There is nothing that is so insurmountable that you're being pushed with, right? So we're always going to be pushed with new apps and new technologies and new platforms. But the one thing that remains that I am steadfasting is that my God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of love and of power, and I have a sound mind. So, technology working definition, right? Technology is the arrangement of knowledge, constraints, and energy that turns intention into repeatable outcomes, right? So, technology, it's plainly said, it's how we package what we know so that the right things happen again and again with less effort. That's all that that really means. How can we formulate systems? How can we formulate structure and processes that the right things are going to happen as much as possible again and again and again, and hopefully with less effort, right, than the first time? What are those tools? And that's what I'm just going to go through that today with us. What are some of the tools that we can use? But when we think about the tools, when we think about the this, and I have my handy dandy iPad here, and I have two screens which you can't see, right? When we think about all the different tools at our disposal, whether they're hardware or software, right? I want you to look at tools. They're not toys, right? They're covenant keepers, right? And that is what, when we go through this session, I want you to remember that technology is the arrangement of knowledge, constraints, and energy that's going to turn intention into repeatable outcomes. And for me, when I say that technology, um, the tools that we use in technology, they're covenant keepers. What does that look like, right? For me, technology keeps promises, even when we're tired, right? So a shared calendar keeps the promise of presence. Tool factor authentication keeps the promise of protection. For me, in my business that I'm running, auto invoicing, mobile money, that keeps the promise of provision, right? A checklist, an SOP, or standard operating procedures, your guide, that keeps the promise of excellence. So technology is here to help us keep promises, right? So as a wise woman, right? And so we all want to be that wise woman, right? That Proverbs 31 woman. I aim to be, right? As well. I want to be wise as Esther. I want to be wise as Lydia. I want to be wise in my home, in my career, in my business. How do I do that? So right now I'm in a room in my home, one of several rooms in my home. So I want to walk us through today 3 rooms of a wise woman's world, right? The room of home, career, and business. And it's all going to be in one rhythm. Wise. WISE. So, what does that look like for us? The W. Even with technology coming at us from, all types of ways and areas, you still need to work with purpose, right? And when you work with purpose, it prevents panic, right? Purpose prevents panic, right? And it tells the tech what to do. So there was a time where I tried to keep a lot of my life in my head, right? So I have 3 beautiful children, but they're spread out. So people pray for me. We have a 20-year-old who's in university, and a 6-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So my life at any point in time is dealing with helping someone with calculus and then helping someone spell 4-letter words, right? It's very interesting. It is making sure that our son away at uni has the different tools that he needs, and then tracking appointments over here. And then also, I'm a founder and a CEO, not of one business, but actually two, right? I have a for profit arm and I have a nonprofit arm. And also, I have my wonderful husband who I need all the things, all the tools to be able to steward my marriage well and to truly show him the love that he deserves. So for me, right, how do I serve, right? How do I work from purpose when I'm juggling the family, the children, the business, hello, myself, right? How am I making sure that I'm drinking my water, taking my vitamins, minding my business, right? How how do I do those things? How do I ensure that I'm in my word when I need to be, that my prayer life is solid, that I am spending time with my father, right? Um, I make sure that I work from purpose. And a lot of times I was trying to keep a lot of life in my head. So that's whether it's school times, holidays, what's the next step for clients. I have to buy supplies sometimes, payroll, different things like that. And when you try to keep a lot of life in your head, well, I found that peace would leak out through 1,000 open doors. My door is over here, but peace would start to leak out, right? And the shift for me wasn't a fancy system, right? It was purpose written plainly and shared, right? Habakkuk 2:2 says, if you see me go off, I just had look off. I have my scriptures here. But Habakkuk 2:2 says, and we've heard this before. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he run that readeth it, right? Very simple. Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. For me, excuse me, a lot of what I needed in my life was just to write it down and make it plain. So in the homeroom, right? Because remember, we're wise women. And let me say this, oftentimes we can speak about womanhood, and automatically there is this assumption that we're only speaking about the ones that are married and that are mothers, right? Um, that is not the case. When I come and I speak about womanhood and I speak about who we are as women of God, that's it. That's the only qualifier that I have, is that you are a woman and a daughter of the Most High God. So when we say home, that can be a home with many rooms, that can be a home with one room, that can be an apartment, it could be a condo, it could be a mansion. God bless you if it is. Call me. I love a good vacation, right? But I just want to put that out there. So when I speak about home, right, and when you're taking care of your home as a wise woman, write it down, make it plain. If you are married and you have children, or you're not married, you have children, you have someone that you have to be responsible for, one of the things that we found was a shared family calendar, right? And remember what I said, that our tools are actually promise keepers, right? Use the tools as covenant. So on a shared family calendar, that's a promise of presence, right? Look at the calendar. I have several different tools that I use. Oh, you can't see this so good, right? But I have several tools that I use. Oh, that's not going to work. Trust me, it's a calendar. Take my word for it. And it's broken up with focus areas and different things, right? One of the tools that I use to help me keep track of it. I also love a Google Calendar, my Apple Calendar, all these different things that are here that I write down when I start my week on a Monday morning. Is two things. Let me back up. Sunday evenings with my family, we aim, and I don't get this right. I don't get it right a lot of the times. I am not going to lie, because my husband and children will watch this video, and I need to be accountable and have integrity. So I will speak from a place of, these are my goals and these are things that I hope for. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. But when we speak about having a sound mind and using tools, sitting down and having a conversation on Sunday evenings before the week starts is great. And all that looks like is that we get a notebook and we say, um, hey, what does the children's schedule look like this week? Any appointments, any days off from school? We're here in America. Let me tell you, there are holidays left and right at this. I can't even keep track, right? So on any given day, my children might be off from school, and I need to make sure that I actually don't get them dressed and out the door to nowhere, right? So what's the schedule looking like this week for the children? What are our finances looking like this week? What bills are due? What a doctor's appointment needs to be had, right? What are we even eating? Right. And you're probably like, Shamina, what does this have to do with technology? Aren't you going to tell me about AI? Aren't you going to tell me how to leverage, chat GPT? I'm glad you asked. I will, but not in the way, because remember, again, technology, the arrangement of knowledge, constraints and energy, because remember, we want to package our life, we want to structure things in such a way that the right thing happens again and again with less effort. So one of the things that I do, even something simple, right, as meals, right? um think about it. One of the biggest things that would stump me as a business owner, having children, I will share this with you. My husband is Nigerian, I am Guyanese, and very much so, we are a bit of that traditional family. So when Crystal was joking. Well, she was saying earlier about being in the kitchen. Let me tell you, I own two businesses and I'm still in the kitchen. Okay. But it's okay. I love it. I love it. I appreciate it. Cooking is my happy place, right? But I can also get stressed out sometimes because you don't know what was happening. So I found a season in my life I was getting stressed. And so the system that I did, again, this is not great. I have to do this. It's actually this little notebook situation. It's a menu planner, right? And what it has here is a market list, right, on one side, and then it's a weekly meal plan. And then so I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So it helps me. I get to um, I just thought about something. I'm here promoting these people's calendars and tools, and I'm not getting paid for it. So you know what? Let me make sure you find your own. You find your own. I'm not going to drop names. If people not going to sponsor me just yet, I'm not going to drop names. But this is actually a market shopping list. And if you have it, great. You could also just use a notebook. So what I would do is I would once a week, maybe on Wednesdays. Um, I do it for Wednesdays. I know, okay, this is my shopping list, right? For the week. I would go into the circular with the grocery store that I was going to, and I'd look and see, okay, these are the things that I want for the week. I'd list it out, I'd go, I'd buy it, right? And then I then create my menu for the week based on that. What is that doing? That's me creating a system, right? Now, if you want it to be fancy and technology, type it, right? You literally can go right now. If I have different AI tools on my phone, I can go in and use voice to text and say, hey, chat gpt, I am needing to buy chicken, fish, salmon. Remember that little Johnny has a peanut allergy, and then remember also that it's um Aiden's birthday and he loves uh chicken, and I helped me create a recipe for that, right? Also, my husband told me that he's tired of having pasta because it doesn't fill him, and he wants book a stew. And Sunday, I need to make a goosey. Create for me a list, right? And the recipes. That's it. Done. Easy peasy, right? That is how the room, your home room, right? Remember, we're wise women taking care of our homes, taking care of different rooms and aspects of our lives. And that's a very simple way to do it, right? Having a calendar, but not just having the calendar, making sure that you treat your calendar as covenant and as a promise. Oftentimes, we have, I had a client actually say this to me about, I think it was a week ago. The parents wanted their child to start in our crash. And the mother is like, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to start this week or start the following week. I said, okay, sure, no problem. Get closer to the start time. She calls. She says, "Hey, can I speak to you about something?" I said, "Sure." And the father, he says, "Listen, we've had a long week. We've had some family things happen. I believe there was a funeral, and I just, I don't know if this is the best week to start. Maybe start next week." Yes, absolutely, right? Because I am of the train of thought again. God has not given me a spirit of fear or a spirit of panic. I operate in peace. I operate in purpose. And so many times, as women, especially, we're always going to make something work. We can make it work, right? Of course, you can make it work to get that child together and have them start, you know, daycare, start crash at the time that you wanted to, but also what are the things you have to do to take care of the rooms in your life, the rooms in your house. Maybe, yes, starting on the 15th was the ideal date, but it's not anymore because life happens, right? So for me, as much as possible, I do love the calendar. And if it's not on my calendar, listen, no, thank you. And I think as women, sometimes we get overwhelmed and we get inundated because we put on our capes and we want to be super women, and we can get it done and we can do it and we can move things around and all of that because we want to please people. We want to show up. We don't want to disappoint. And then you end up tired and worn out and burnt out. So you are a wise woman. You work from purpose. And one of the ways that you work from purpose is by having a calendar, whether digital or not. You have a calendar, and that calendar is a promise for your presence. It's a covenant. Treat it as such. The I in wise, integrating things into your rhythm, right? So we don't want to like bolt things into life in a way that there is no flexibility at all. You want to take technology, you don't want to like, yeah, bolt technology into your life. Like, I have to use this app, I have to use this tool, I have to use this system. No, you want to tuck it into the life you already live, right? That's wise. So especially for our career, right? You have to think about what works for you. For me, I don't chase algorithms. I sow small, steady seeds, right? Something may be trendy, it may not be trendy. No bother to me, right? It has to work for my life and the rhythm that makes sense for me. So, as you're integrating things into your life, right, and expanding your bandwidth and your capacity, take 30-minute blocks of learning, because that's one of the things. How do you use technology? If you're going to listen, we can do this mindless scrolling on the phone, right? Everyone loves a good TikTok or Facebook video, or you can tell I'm old because I don't know what the new stuff that the kids are on. I'm actually not really on TikTok. I just threw it out there because it sounded young, um, really. But that sort of mindless scrolling. How do we leverage technology to actually increase who we are as women? And when it comes to career, using 30-minute learning blocks, I love it. So if you are commuting, whether that's in the car or you're taking public transport, get a good podcast, right? Put the podcast in your ear. Yes, I think it's great. You can have a devotional, you can definitely listen to the word. Also, in addition to that, you can go ahead, please, and find, the next thing. There are different platforms that you can use for your career. There's LinkedIn Learning, you have Coursera, you have a lot of YouTube playlists that you can download for free, even Google Digital Garage. This is free. They have things that you can go type in your profession. If you're a nurse, how do I get better at nursing? If I'm a finance guru or professional, there are courses that you can take, that you can listen to. You can hear the conversation about where the trends are going. And you could do this while you are in the kitchen cooking, while you are working out and exercising, while you are walking, while you are on your daily commute. It's making sure that the technology that we're exposing ourselves to is edifying us, right? This is the time that we're in, that we get to choose what we're inputting, and we have to be intentional about it. Next, steward technology with boundaries and security, right? So, boundaries aren't fear, they're stewardship, right? And in home and in business, they're just some basics. When we say that you have boundaries in the home room, in the room of your business, what does that look like? For me, on a very practical security basis, make sure when it comes to technology that you're using unique passwords, right? Like, don't use password 12345, right? Or don't use the same passwords for all your platforms, right? Switch it up. And it's okay to write them down. I have a separate notebook, right? I think I've shown you like 4 different notebooks so far. I have another notebook that you write that down. Make sure that you're verifying your banking, your money links. Like, take all the things um seriously, right? Security is proper important. Then, when it comes to boundaries as well, set do not disturb hours. This is so important with technology. Set do not disturb hours. I do that on my phone. I also do it on my laptop as well. And choose a digital Sabbath window, right? Remember, presence is part of your calling, right? In Isaiah 32 18, it's in a peaceable habitation and in sure dwellings and in quiet resting places. Make sure that you are taking a digital Sabbath. Make sure that you are on purpose, but that your presence is a part of your calling. Your presence matters. You have to show up. And that's just not for other people, that's just for you. Show up for you. Show up in such a way that you're resting, that you're quiet. Get comfortable in silence. Get comfortable with turning off all of the things, right? So that's just a good boundary there. And then E, right, in wise. So remember, we are wise women. So we are working from purpose. We are integrating technology into rhythms in our life. We are stewarding with boundaries and security. And then we're going to execute small and we're going to measure simple. What does that look like? Okay, for business, if you know that you are trying to get from A to Z, are you having a mentor, right? It could be such simple things where you feel overwhelmed. I'm in a space where I have to, my business is dealing with three different verticals. There's childcare, there's event space, there's office space, it's commercial realty. This was just a calling that I had. Cole and Crush started because I was a mom. It was during COVID times where everybody had to be home. And the business that I was in, I was federal, so I actually couldn't work from home, right? My husband was home with three children and he did really well, but I wanted to stay married, right? So I said I need to work from home and I spoke to my bosses. They allowed it to be so. And but when I finally got home, my children were on me. I mean, I'm a mom, right? And it was distracting a bit, and I couldn't get my work done the way that I wanted it to get done. And I said, man, I am a professional. God, you haven't called me, I don't think, to leave my career. I will if I need to, because there's nothing more important than my children at this point in my life. And then the Lord showed me, this concept where you can work and have your children on site at the same time. And I think it's been done. I know it's been done in other places. In these here United States, what I was coming up with wasn't necessarily done. It's becoming more and more common, but it wasn't at the time. So for me, even in building business, I can have artificial intelligence. I can use Chat GPT, I could use Claude AI, I could use Gemini, I could use 10 million different platforms. I need human mentoring. You need human mentoring. And not just the mentoring that you can get from YouTube. I mean, an actual person, a coach that you can speak to, that you can bounce ideas off of, that can give you a critique, right? That can say, you know what, this works and this doesn't work, right? So, what am I saying? I'm saying to you that in all things, don't get intimidated by the machines, don't get intimidated by the platforms. You need to understand that technology is how we bind intention to reality. It is mercy for the mind, a battery for the future, and a system that trains our days for peace, right? It is not something to be overwhelmed by. You are the secret sauce. You have everything in you already. One of the things that I tell my children, my mother has I think a high school education. I think she has about 2 years of community college. I myself, I have several degrees to include two master's degrees. One thing that I've always told my children is that I will never be smarter than my mother. I may progress academically further than she did, but I'll never be smarter than her because she did life, right? And I think that's important. Definitely speaking to the mothers now, and just even us as women, we're coming up in these generations. I'm, coming up now with these generations that they think that they're so tech savvy, which honestly, as an employer, I I've employed these generations. They're actually not as tech savvy as we think that they are. Their social media plenty. I don't know if they're tech savvy, right? And there's a difference, right? The things that you already know, what you already know about structure, what you already know about systems, what you already know about organization and logistics, that is the secret sauce. Technology will never be better than you. Technology is just a tool for you to take everything that you already know and you input it into the technology. You input it into the artificial intelligence. You input it into the system, whether it's a spreadsheet or a notebook, right? It's you. It's you. So if when we say, right, if there's nothing else, I want you to know that the technology, the machines, the all of that, it cannot replace you, because you, me, we were built, we are wonderfully and fearfully made by the number one architect, the one who created it all. So that's it. Have purpose over panic. Remember, one rhythm repeated, one workflow, one integration. You got this. So, yeah, I'm Shamina, and I believe that your piece is powerful and your purpose is possible.